This is our first flagship episode of the Outward Olive TV. We're here with Beth Wieczorek, and I've got little Clara with me. No, I don't. This is Ava. And Leela is here filming. And what are you going to make today, Beth?
I am going to make an appetizer. We're going to make bruschetta I'm going to cut up some bread and we're going to toast it. We're going to put some oregano and some garlic and some onion powder on top with the olive oil. And then for the entree, we're going to make Parmesan, Basil, Pesto, Penne with sauteed chicken on top. So
it's going to be so good.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this.
Yes, my pleasure.
Now you want to tell us a little about yourself. You work at an engineering company?
Yes. So I am a project analyst at an engineering company in Portage, Indiana. I've been there for almost 2 years now. And I'm also a color street stylist. I do that business from home.
You just started that?
Yes,
right?
Just started it in January, so just about 2 months in. And a wife and a mom, and just kind of doing this life. So, yep.
Well, we're very thankful that you're doing this with us today.
I'm excited.
In the meantime, while she's cooking, I am going to be playing with a little bit of her. I'm going to be picking some color street nails and putting them on while she's making us lunch.
Yes.
And we'll show you the finished product when we're done.
Yep.
And you can find her on Facebook.
Yes, I have a Facebook group page. It's called Mama Time Nails, and it's a fun VIP group. It's for all of my customers and friends that join. It's a real positive community, and we just share inspiration for your nails, manicures, pedicures. Spring and summer are coming up, so we'll be sharing a lot of fun ideas to get inspired. So we can share that link with you guys to join the group. It's called Mama Time Nails. We'd love to have you. And I guess we should get started. Okay, we'll get started.
All right, which oil did you choose today?
It is, let's see, we have the Parmesan Basil extra virgin olive oil, and I also have the caramelized onion. It's a dark balsamic vinegar. So we're gonna be using that in our bruschetta. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm going to get the tomatoes ready. These are fresh, big, I think these are beefsteak tomatoes. I got these from Produce Depot in St. John area. Very fresh, great produce. So already washed and ready to go. Sometimes people like to use Roma tomatoes in their bruschetta, which is fine. That's a durable tomato. I prefer the big tomatoes. Offers more flavor. I feel like the Roma tomato is one-dimensional, so I just like to use something a little bit different.
Who taught you how to cook?
So I grew up with my parents owning a coffee shop, and it was a little like a cafe. We had bagels, sandwiches, and soups and pastries, and we made espresso drinks. So I was a barista for many years before it was cool to be a barista. So I grew up in that atmosphere. My mom and my dad both loved cooking. My dad was a fan of the outdoor cooking, grilling and cooking over an open fire. My mom was like a scratch-made cook. She did a lot of that at home, making homemade soups and things like that, pastas, dishes, and cooking was basically the foundation of my childhood. We did a lot together in the kitchen. So, yeah. Just kind of always was attracted to watching the Food Network too. Instead of watching the reality shows, I kind of tuned into those and was inspired with different recipes and things like that. So, just so you know what I'm doing here with the tomatoes, I'm just giving them a nice kind of irregular rough chop. I mean, we're not getting super fancy Iron Chef with this recipe. We're going for the easy at-home cook, the mom who needs a quick recipe, you know, feed the kids and the husband and whoever's over some bruschetta while you get the main dish ready. So I'm just leaving the seeds in here too. If you like to cut the seeds out, go ahead. But again, I feel like that membrane offers more, offers more liquid for the dish and just more flavor in general. So just chopping these up real quick. I'm doing 2 big tomatoes because we love bruschetta. And we pile it on the pieces of toast that I'm gonna make. So that's why I'm using 2 big tomatoes. If you have a small family, just use 1 tomato. I also like to keep the extras, the leftovers. You can top your penne pasta with the leftover bruschetta. So it's a great way to use leftovers, and the longer it sits, the better it tastes. So we're gonna make this and eat this here within the next hour, but if you wanted to make this in the morning and let this sit out and sit, you know, and flavor up all day, that's totally fine. You can leave it sit on the counter and let it flavor out and just kind of give it a couple stirs. Get a good taste, so you know what your flavor profile is. And then if it needs more salt and pepper or seasoning, go ahead and add more. Seasoning is so important. When you're making food, you have to taste it. I'm a huge fan of that. Big believer in tasting your food along the way. So if you see me do that, you'll freak out. Okay, so we have our tomatoes all set up, all cut and ready to go. So I'm going to gracefully try to get these in the bowl. Take care of it on the way to the bowl. We're going easy here. We're the at-home cook. I'm like a rustic cook. Like I just kind of, everything is just kind of whatever. So, okay. So we have our tomatoes. We're ready to add the other ingredients. We're gonna add fresh garlic. We're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice, lemon zest, some salt and pepper, and we're gonna add some basil. I'll show you how we cut that up. We're gonna cut it up a specific way for bruschetta. And then we're gonna add some of our olive oil, and then we're gonna top it with the balsamic vinegar. So, when you're dealing with lemon or any kind of citrus, what you wanna do is give it a nice roll on the counter. It kind of gets the oils in the rind loosened up and the juices inside. We're gonna use both parts of the lemon. We're gonna use the zest and the juice. So I'm just going to take the lemon and give it a couple of swipes downward on my microplane. Be careful, don't go down too far to, I think they refer to it as the pit or the lighter color on the lemon. So just give it a couple shakes to get that off the microplane. And we're using maybe a half a teaspoon of zest. We're gonna use some fresh garlic. And when you have your ball of garlic, you're like, okay, this is like overwhelming. How am I gonna get this to come apart? You just take the clove or the bulb and just kind of give it some pressure on the top, and it should come apart for you. Then all the little cloves, you can kind of separate and get them ready for you to chop or grate, or however you're going to use them. And depending on the size of the garlic bulb will kind of dictate how many cloves you'll use. This is a really kind of, I would consider a small bulb of garlic. So I'm just gonna pick my biggest ones, and I'm probably gonna put about 4 cloves in here. So I'm just snipping the tops, the top and the bottom off real quick. And we're gonna do the garlic in a different way when we make the pesto. So we're gonna show you 2 different ways to prepare this garlic. Okay, I have my 4 cloves, and a trick of mine that I have to kind of get the garlic to where when you eat the bruschetta, you're not gonna get this bite of garlic. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take some salt, and you're just going to do this right over your garlic. And what that's gonna do, when you put salt on something, it's gonna draw the moisture out. It's gonna make it easier to deal with. So I'm just gonna give it a rough chop, okay? Now normally this would be good enough if you're gonna put it in the food processor or whatever. But since we're going to be eating this raw, what we're gonna wanna do is, after we give it a good chop, get it all together, and we're going to start using the tip of our knife, and we're gonna start kind of grinding the garlic down. Now you might need to add a little bit more salt depending on your garlic, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna try to just press that garlic down so it's not so bulky. Give it another chop, and you're just gonna repeat this until your garlic gets down to almost kind of like a paste. It becomes easier and easier to work with as you start to smash it. This is becoming closer to what I want it to be. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it 1 more sprinkle of salt. And my knives are very sharp. That's another thing that you want to be aware of when you're cooking and chopping and getting things prepared. Do not cook with a dull knife. Okay? People sometimes get scared of big chef knives. I've always learned from a young age, cooking with my dad and my mom, that you're better off cooking with a sharp knife than a dull knife. So, okay, so here's our finished product. You can see what I have is more than just chunks of garlic. It is very soft, it's very juicy, and I am just going to put that right in there. Okay. Next, we're gonna get our basil ready. This has already been washed and prepped. So I'm just going to take some of the bigger leaves. I'm gonna save the small ones that I can just dump right in the food processor for my pesto sauce. I'm gonna choose the nice big leaves for my bruschetta. And I'm going to take the leaves, I'm gonna put the biggest ones on the bottom, and I'm just gonna stack them one on top of the other. And I'm gonna show you why. There's a special way that I like to cut my basil when I make bruschetta. Okay, this is gonna be a chiffonade of basil. So we're gonna take the basil. We have all of our leaves stacked up here, and we're gonna take it slow, and we're going to roll, because the end result will be nice little ribbons of basil. Okay, we're gonna start at the tip. We're gonna cut our ribbons. Nice and slow. Again, my sharp knife is helping me make these ribbons very precise, and these will look beautiful in the bruschetta. If you just take the basil leaves and start hacking away at them, they're gonna bruise. And so your basil will look discolored on the top of your dish. So this is beautiful. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted these nice, flowy pieces of basil. Beautiful little ribbons. This is why I think it's important to chiffonade your basil for the bruschetta. Those are ready. We're not going to use them just yet. Next, I used the zest of my lemon. I rolled it to get the juices going. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take 1/2 of my lemon, and I'm just going to use my palm as the strainer. And I am going to put fresh lemon juice right over the top of my tomatoes, okay? So far we have our tomatoes, we have our lemon zest, we have our lemon juice, and we have our garlic paste, okay? The lemon is a natural preserver. I'm sure if you've ever made guacamole or salsa, you're putting acid inside the dish to kind of help the fruits and vegetables that you're putting in to keep their composure and their shape and their integrity. So this is why we added to our bruschetta. See, look, at home chef, got a big old hunk here. That's totally fine. Gentle is the new perfect. We're just going for whatever. Add some fresh sea salt and some ground pepper. Okay, and I might choose to add more seasoning at the end. Olive oil. We are going to use Albert olive, the Parmesan basil. Let's just take a moment and smell this, shall we? Oh my gosh, you guys. This just makes my foodie heart smile. Parmesan basil. This is going to complement the tomatoes and all the fresh ingredients really well. So you're probably going to want to add about 1/4 of a cup. I've been cooking for a long time, so I am just going to eyeball this. Just going to coat those tomatoes nicely here with this rich, amazing quality of extra virgin olive oil. This looks good to me. Okay, we're going to stir that around. We're going to take some fresh Parmesan, just kind of microplane that on the top. Okay, I prefer black cheese over the stuff that you buy already pre-shredded. It just tastes so much better to me, but whatever you have at home. And then we're going to take our beautiful little ribbons and we're going to top it on the top. A little bit more cheese, because cheese never hurts. And there we go. We have our bruschetta. So we're gonna let this kind of hang out for a minute while we get the pesto going. But this looks amazing and I can't wait to have a little taste later. So we're gonna let that sit. Okay, so we have our bruschetta all prepared. Let's move on to the pesto. We're gonna use all of this basil right here. It's about 2 cups of fresh basil. So I'm just going to take all the basil and put it into my food processor. Again, about 2 cups. And all that in there. So once you get your basil in there, what you're gonna wanna do is we're gonna use some more fresh garlic. And you'll notice that the pesto sauce has some of the same ingredients as the bruschetta. It's another trick I've learned over the years. Don't overcomplicate your weeknights or your weekends with recipes where you need a bazillion different ingredients. Try to pick something that has the same ingredients that you can kind of use in multiple ways. That way there's not waste and you're kind of making things easier on yourself. I'm gonna use I saved the 4 biggest cloves for this. And we're gonna prepare it differently than we did for the bruschetta. So I'm just gonna take my cloves. Some of them, the skin fell off when I was getting them separated, some did not. One trick I like to use is garlic is sticky. So if you're sitting there trying to get the peel off the garlic, you just take your piece of garlic, your chef knife, and a little zhuzh, and here we go. Peeled. See, I'm teaching you guys some tricks. We're just going to take the garlic, put it in there whole. Why do any chopping when the food processor could do it for you? And we're gonna season it. We're gonna add some salt and some pepper. I'm a huge believer in seasoning things, like layering it through every part of the dish. Traditional pesto will use pine nuts. I love the richness and the butteriness of walnuts, so I prefer using walnuts, but you can honestly probably use cashews or almonds too, whatever you have on hand. If you don't want to make a special trip to the store, then don't. We'll just dump about 3/4 of a cup of some walnuts in there. We're gonna use our hand as a strainer again, and we're just gonna add some acid in there. I'm gonna add, what I love about using a microplane with my food processor is it kind of acts as a little surface that I can rest this on and just grate away. This is so satisfying. I love grating cheese. It's so delicious. And another tip is never throw your Parmesan rind away. You can wrap those up in saran wrap and keep them in your lunch meat and cheese drawer, and when you make a soup, go ahead and you put the rind in the soup and it flavors it, and you can just take once all the extra cheese kind of melts off that rind, you can pull that rind out and toss it. But I'm kind of one of those people, I like to utilize every single part of an ingredient, so I always save my cheese rinds. And we're gonna use our Parmesan basil extra virgin olive oil. So we're gonna just put a little bit in here, kind of get things to come together. Okay, just a little drizzle. And then we're going to take our food processor and we're just going to pulse. Don't put it on full speed. You kind of just want to take it and have it pulse at first, just to kind of get things moving. Okay, I can see my texture is good, so I'm gonna go ahead and hold it on for a couple seconds. Okay, here comes the fun part. It smells so good. I'm going to click this on again and we're going to emulsify. We're going to add more olive oil to this so that when we scoop it out and we can, it'll act like a sauce to our pasta. We're just going to add about another 1/4 to 1/3 cup. Let's check on it. Okay. All set. See how easy was that? Be careful when you're dismantling the food processor. This blade is sharp and it will get you. Okay. Pesto is as easy as that. This smells heavenly. It's great for a quick summer meal. You can add whatever kind of protein you want to this, fish or chicken, steak, whatever you cooked the night before, you could heat that up and put this pesto on it. Great, great, great. Now we have our pesto ready to go. So the next step, we're gonna take our fresh loaf of French bread and we're going to get it ready to toast in the oven so that we can enjoy our bruschetta. So I'm just taking my bread knife and I'm just going to hold the bread nice and firm and get some nice hearty slices ready. And I'm just gonna put the bread in the oven like this. We are going to add more flavor. So so that when we top it with the bruschetta, it is amazing. So get these slices. We have our bread all ready to go. I have a cookie sheet here. I am just going to take all the slices that I prepared and put them onto the baking sheet. I'm gonna separate them. And now we're going to take our Parmesan, basil, extra virgin olive oil. And this doesn't have a little spout on it for drizzling, so I'm just gonna use my thumb. Going to take the olive oil and just start coating the pieces. You'll learn little tips and tricks throughout the years of cooking, and this is just something that I've learned, that I don't have a spout for all my different flavored olive oils, so I just use my thumb. Okay.
Although we do sell them.
Insert plug here. Yes. Although I will say, Outward Olive does sell a very nice spout that I do have on my other bottle of olive oil, so make sure you check those out as well. Okay, so we have our olive oil on our French bread, and again, I'm a big fan of seasoning, so here we go. I have a teaspoon. I have just some granulated garlic, and I'm just gonna sprinkle this. What we're going for here is just like a nicely flavored garlic bread, like a toast for our bruschetta. So just lightly sprinkle some garlic, granulated onion. We're gonna do the same thing, just lightly over each piece. Not too heavy. Okay, because the olive oil truly is going to give the bread its flavor. And we use basil in our pesto and in our bruschetta, but we're gonna switch it up and we're gonna use some dried oregano on our toast. This smells wonderful. This oregano I got is from Greece, actually. Some of our family is Greek, and they gave us some fresh herbs from Greece. So this is extra special. We're gonna just add a little bit of salt, not much, but salt really enhances the flavor of food. So I always make sure to season my food with a little bit of salt. And we're gonna add in just a little bit of pepper, and I'm gonna leave a few slices without, just in case some of the kids don't like that. Come over here again, we're still using the same old block of cheese, and we're just going to put a little tiny bit, help keep that bread a little moist with the olive oil and the cheese.
That looks so good.
Boom, we are ready for the oven. We're gonna go in at 400 for about 10, 11 minutes. We'll check and see if it's done to our liking or not, right now. So now we're gonna prep our chicken for the saute skillet, where we're gonna cook these up and top our pesto penne with them. So I have 1.5 pounds of fresh boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Use whatever brand you're used to buying. And we're just gonna take each piece and we're going to cut them into nice little strips. That way, when we saute these, each side of the chicken will accumulate flavor and color and taste really good on top of our pesto penne. Do this other piece here. I'm also just being very mindful of where I put my hand. Again, using a very sharp knife just to get through that chicken. Cutting it down all the way to the end. You want each piece to be similar in size, that way the cooking time is the same for all. So what I'm gonna do is just separate the pieces on my cutting board, and we're gonna start to flavor and season these. We're gonna do a little bit of pepper, some salt. Remember, we need to add flavor and bring out the taste in all of our food. We're gonna add some granulated onion. I like to use the same flavor profiles throughout the whole dish, so that's why I'm just using the same spices that I have. Granulated garlic. And voila! There we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna take it to the pan. So I'm just gonna give you a shot of this.
All right, that's good.
We're gonna add our Parmesan, basil, extra virgin olive oil to the pan. Have to let that come up to heat a little bit. can really smell that when it starts to heat up. Just the different layers of flavor that are in that olive oil. It smells so fresh and so delicious. Oil is heating up. I love it. Okay. I like to use one little piece of chicken in my tester piece to see if I have that sizzle sound. Bring that up. Bring that up. Bring that up to 10.
I just gotta wait.
Yep. I wait for this. Oh, we can do the noodles.
Okay.
We'll do the noodles. Pound of penne of your choice. Put some salt into that water.
Is it real?
Yes.
Wow. If you're gonna have that plant, it would be dead in like 2 days.
You know what? There's a story behind that plant. When we got that plant, it was probably only as tall as one of its leaves. And the plant came from Mike's grandma's house. And then his mom and his aunt each took a start from like when the grandma passed. They each got half the plant.
Yeah.
And then every time somebody gets married in their family, they give them a start of the plant.
Oh.
So we've been married, it'll be 4 years this year. And it's grown like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show.
Ooh, look at that.
Mm-mm-mm.
How dainty there.
And what olive oil's in here?
So the Parmesan basil, the caramelized onion, and then I sprinkle oregano on top. Oregano is one of my favorite things to use when I cook. I fly through oregano. I love it. And it's good for your immune system too.
Beautiful.
Okay, we have our garlic toast ready to go, fresh out of the oven, nice and crispy, super flavorful, crusty, and going to soak up all the juices and flavor from our bruschetta that we made. So I'm just getting it ready and putting it on this little cake stand that I have so it can cool down and get ready for us to try the bruschetta. Okay everyone, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Our chicken pesto penne is ready to go on the platter. So here we go everyone. Nice, fresh, hot, and full of flavor. I'm just serving this up family style so everybody can help themselves. We're gonna get every last little bit of olive oil and flavor out of that pan. Tell me that doesn't look delicious.
I can't wait to try it.
And same block of cheese. We're gonna go in with our microplane, and you know what's coming next. Just covering it with some cheese. And since pesto penne is still nice and hot, the cheese is just gonna melt right on top. So here we go. This is what's for dinner.
That looks amazing.
Yes. Let's go ahead and plate up a little bit of this bruschetta. 1 piece of garlic toast. We're gonna put the bruschetta in all its glory right here on our toast. And you can see all the different layers of flavor and ingredients that we added. See how pretty that chiffonade basil looks?
Oh, I love it. It looks gorgeous.
It's gonna be delicious. And why not add a little bit more cheese? There we go. Voila. Okay, everybody, take a bite. Let me know what you think. Oh my goodness. The pasta's
You're really
cooked.
good at this.
Thank you.
This
So,
is so
mm. Very good.
Okay.
You can really taste the basil coming through on that olive oil.
It's so flavorful. I love it.
Coated through very nicely. There. And just like,
amazing.
yeah, good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Big bite, girls.
Okay. My gosh, that is so good. Very good. Nice and fresh for spring. And we're back for another episode. No.